Hey guys, what's going on? Watomarmelon here today, back with another market watch for July 27th. And today we're going to be, expanding on some of the stuff that I've said in previous videos. But first, I wanted to take a look at some of the new sets. So, starting with a set that is coming out very soon, we have Power of the Elements. As a collector, really, you don't look very far past the Starlight rares, so the only things that really matter in this set to a collectors, I say, would be the Starlight rares. And you can see that there are pre-sales for Ausa at 200. I mean, I'm not really into Charmers. If you're into Charmers, I know there are people who do collect the Charmers because they've released a ton of these Starlight rare Charmer cards. But for me, it's not really something I'm looking forward to. The main card that I think would be interesting would be the Elemental Hero Neos Fusion. I think it's like Shining Neos or something like that. It's a really cool looking card, and if you've seen the OCG version, yeah, Elemental Hero Shining Neos Wingman. It's a really, really cool looking card. And I've actually sold a bunch of the Ultimate Rare from the OCG, and the Prismatic, which looks essentially like the Starlight, is very beautiful as well. As a collector, that's a card that I wish had gotten the Starlight Rare, although I understand that it wouldn't be playable in the least bit, and so it would annoy a lot of the players who actually want to, open up Starlight Rares and bling out their deck, because it's not really a playable card. So I understand that. And then the other, collectible Starlight Rare, quote unquote, is Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, because it's kind of one of those cards that, it's a Destiny Hero boss monster. So it has that going for it. And also, it's pretty iconic because it was a very, very strong boss monster within the card game. And sort of, you see these iconic boss monsters eventually become collector's pieces down the line. And so, maybe this Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer will be something that people are looking to pick up as a collection piece down the line. But I don't think it's super playable now. And at $400, why would you ever spend $400 on that? All right, next up we have Legendary Duelist Season 3. As a collector, not a whole lot that I'm looking at. I mean, obviously Magician Souls is very important if you're a player. The Dark Magicians is something that I would look at as, like, if you're a budget collector. I think the Dark Magician Secret Rare promo out of this set is a very, very beautiful card, and, might be something that is more affordable, especially if you can afford something like the Starlight Rare for the Dark Magicians, which is another nice card. There are also some of these other promo secret rares that have iconic monsters in reimagined forms, like Harpy's Pet Dragon, Fearsome Fire Blast, and Mystical Elf White Lightning. So if you're a budget collector, I don't think these are the worst cards to have in your binder. They probably look quite nice. And they're pretty affordable. You also have this ultra rare Dark Magician Girl at $2. This is something that I might consider buying, like, a quantity of these things, like a pretty large quantity, and just selling them on eBay for higher than what they would sell for on TCG Player. This is the sort of thing that you can sell for like $10 on eBay as a sponsored listing all day. Or maybe not all day, but like over time, it's something that you could probably get out from underneath like 100 copies of this at a much higher price than $2. So it's something to consider if you like the sort of grind style of selling. Next up, we've got Dimension Force. The set's been out for a while. I talked about this card right here, Patasil Coverture, as something that OCG collectors are actually looking at. I talked to my Japanese collector friend. This is the card he pointed to as something that Japanese collectors are really trying to pick up. Other than that, you've got your Hand Trap Ghost Bell, and then some other cards that, as a collector, I'm not super interested in. I don't really know what to say other than that. I don't think this set does a whole lot for collectors, at least on the English or the TCG side. I think the OCG, where you start getting some of these as prismatics, that's probably what you're going to want to go for. Like, I love Scareclaw Tryhard. It's a beautiful artwork, and I have it in the prismatic, the Starlight equivalent for the OCG, and it's pretty cheap and looks very, very nice. So that's actually the way I'm going for collecting modern sets. I'm just going after OCG cards because they're much cheaper and you can get prismatic forms of cards that only appear as ultra rare or secret rare in the TCG. Often, sometimes super rares as well. So another discussion point are these OTS ultimate rares. Astral Pack, Turbo Pack, all that sort of stuff. These ultimate rares, specifically of spell and trap cards. I mean, a lot of them have really, really, really ballooned in price during the pandemic, and when people were putting a lot of money into the market. But I haven't seen a huge retrace on something like Scapegoat. I guess you do see a pretty sizable retrace, and I think this came. Went to 3 on the ban list, so people started picking it up. I mean, this is a beautiful card. I think it's a better looking card than the Retro Pack Ultra Rare. And when you get these sorts of... I've never been a huge fan of Retro Pack or... what is it? Dark Revelations 4 on the North American side. For me, I think these sets are... I don't know. When you have these reprint cards, and when a card is not in its original print, and then it gets reprinted as something like an ultra rare, I don't really care about that card. So, the Retro Pack Ultra Rare of Scapegoat, yeah, it's a very rare card, but it's not some sort of limited promo. It's not, a prize card. It's nothing like that. And so I'd rather get, in my opinion, the better looking version in a Europrint Ultimate Rare than, the Retro Pack Ultra Rare. That's just my personal preference. Let me know what you guys think. Obviously, the Ultimate Rare is much easier to get. We have another trap card in Solemn Judgment. This is another cool looking card. You can see that this one's really taking a tumble recently. But, there are ups and downs to these Ultimate Rares, and you kind of ride the waves and see where these cards go. The lowest listing for Near Mint right now is a little under $120, so not too bad. Another, card that I think looks quite nice, but obviously the Metal Raiders First Edition, its first printing is definitely, the most collectible version, but I think the Ultimate Rare, if there's an Ultimate Rare of a card, it's always worth considering, because it's probably going to look quite nice. Next up, more Ghost Rare discussion. Here we have Honest. In terms of its first edition price, I don't think it has retraced all that much, although if I look at lightly played, I'd be surprised. Yeah, it seems like lightly played versions have come down quite a bit. But, the Near Mint first edition, at least on TCG Player, people are still asking pretty high numbers. You have one unverified seller at around 400, another unverified at around 450, and then you get a verified at 500. I'm positive you can get it for less than that. I mean, just look for like a PSA 8. That's what I do, or a CGC 8.5, CGC 9. You get those things for much cheaper than you get these near mint copies on TCG Player, and usually they're in better quality than what you get off TCG Player. Next up is a card that I absolutely love. I have my playset in my main collection binder, but man, has this card taken a tumble. So it doesn't look too bad in terms of the sales history. Everything's down. But when you look at the most recent sale of a Near Mint First Edition, it goes all the way back to May 31st for $110. What do you think the price is now? Well, I guess some before that were around $90, $94. Where was it before that? Or where is it now? Well, if you guess that a Near Mint First Edition, there was a listing on TCG Player from 100% feedback, 50,000 plus sales for $63, I don't know. I mean, I'm considering buying this card because that to me seems like a steal for what this card is. It's a beautiful, beautiful card, and getting a first edition Near Mint, if it's actually Near Mint, is quite nice. And $63, even though I already have my playset, I'm willing to pay that much for another one. So this is something that I do have on my radar. This is a card we've looked at recently as well, Bajingi Amaterasu out of Primal Origin. Ghost Rare, man. I'm telling you, Ghost from the Past killed Ghost Rares. I mean, look at where this card is at the release of Ghost from the Past 2, and brump, just straight line down, basically. Or I guess, it's at an incline, but you see that Ghost from the Past 2 it takes Ghost Rares and then it just killed the value. And you can pick up lightly played unlimiteds for like $17 right now. That's kind of crazy. And you look at a Near Mint, You can get an unlim for $23. Who knows if it's actually near mint? That's one of the problems about TCG Player if you don't see it ahead of time. But I mean, sellers are lining up at under $25 for a one per case card. Albeit Primal Origin isn't the most insane set. Let's see if there are any boxes listed on. Okay, so last one sold for a little under 200, so not the most expensive box, and it doesn't have a ton of expensive cards in here at all. But ghost rares from almost a decade ago going for, or maybe this was a decade ago, going for $23 in near mint, unlim, and then if we look at the first edition price, it's $50. That is tough. Although I do see that this thing is creeping down in the number of listings, so that's something to, I guess, keep your eye on. And this is a beautiful card. It's just, man, has Ghost from the Past really tanked Ghost rares. And so if we look at all the Ghost rares, let me go back to the most expensive ones. You can see, I have to refresh here. You see you got Dark Magician, Ghost from the Past 1. And something to note is Ghost from the Past 1 I don't think killed Ghost Rare prices because there was less of Ghost from the Past 1 printed. The Ghost Rares were harder to pull. They were about 1 per case instead of 2 per case plus. And I think there wasn't an overload of quote-unquote good collectible Ghost Rares in Ghost in the Past 1 where there was Dark Magician. The other ones weren't terrible, but it wasn't like you had the stacked lineup of Dark Magician Girl, Blue Eyes, SDK artwork, Red Eyes, Cyber Dragon, Blue Eyes Ultimate. Like, it just was probably the most loaded set I've ever seen. And so you see that one kind of standing at the top because there's no distinction between Unlimited and First Edition. You have a couple other, your Stardust Dragons, your Black Rose Dragons, your Rainbow Dragons, and then you get more of these modern Ghost Rares. But the problem is that having this many bangers just pushes the prices down on everything else. And so, if I pick a random Ghost Rare, I don't know. Let's look at BLS Soldier of Chaos. I guess not much has happened. You can just see that there's kind of this just plummet. You saw that it was starting to stabilize, and then Ghost from the Past 2 comes out and just keeps going down. I mean, it's just hard to hold any sort of value when you're competing against, like, how much does this thing cost in near mint? Near mint is $130. Are you going to pay $130 for that? Or are you going to pay a little bit more for a near mint at $167? Blue Eyes White Dragon SDK art. I don't know. I think most people are just going to go for the Blue Eyes White Dragon. So Ghost Rares are really pushing down, and Ghost Rares to me used to be the most premium rarity. Like, Ghost Rare was synonymous with a very, very premium rarity, but nowadays it's just like they keep printing more and more of these Ghost Rares. And before, you can point to Haunted Mine as an example of something devaluing Ghost Rares, but Haunted Mine were gold Ghost Rares. They had this ugly brown gold border. It wasn't the same. Now you have, Ghost Rares that this Cyber Dragon is definitely a Ghost Rare. There's no question about it being a Ghost Rare. Just in Haunted Mine, there was the tablet artwork Blue Eyes. Not exactly the best card. You had Gores, a very playable card, but not exactly the best card. Herald of Ultimateness. Not exactly the best card. What was the other one? Oh, Solemn Judgment, Mystical Space Typhoon. Like, those two are very cool cards, but just the ugly brown border, I think, didn't do it for a lot of collectors. So it is what it is. It just seems like Ghost Rares, like, you've got Leviathan Dragon. Beautiful. Just an awesome card. Just getting completely choked out here. I'm a little interested to see what Leviathan Dragon's going for. You can get an unlim for under 30. Let's see what a near mint goes for. Under 40. You can get them for $40 from Big City Cards. That's pretty tough. Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. There's some really cool Ghost Rares that are just struggling to hold on to any sort of value, you've got Clearwing Synchro Dragon. This is a cool looking ghost rare, one per case. Still just not a whole lot there. So let me know what you guys think about that. And lastly, we're going to look at a secret rare from a 5D set. We've got our good friend Light End Dragon. This is a really, really cool card. You see that there was a sale earlier this month, about 2 weeks ago, for 27 at Near Mint First. If we look at first editions, you can see that there's lightly played at around 17. Going on up, see Near Mints at 26. So not too bad. Let me know what you guys thought. It's been your boy Watomarmelon, and peace out.